For those of you who grew up Nigerian, you already know everything I'm about to say. You can nod along and sip your zobo in peace. For those of you who are Nigerian adjacent, married in, befriended in, or simply curious, let me give you a brief orientation before the story begins. Because without context, certain things will seem dramatic, and they are dramatic, but they are also perfectly normal. Both things are true simultaneously. This is Nigerian family life. Rule number one: in a Nigerian family, titles matter, not just the professional ones, though those matter enormously. Please greet your uncle's friend who has a PhD correctly, or you will become a cautionary tale told at every gathering for the next decade. I mean the relational titles: sister, brother, auntie, uncle. These are not just words, they are architecture. They hold the structure of your relationship together. When someone stops using your title and starts calling you by your first name only, something has shifted. Something has been decided. You may not be consulted in the decision. You will feel it anyway. Rule number two: a Nigerian mother's comment is never just a comment. It is a comment wrapped around a feeling, wrapped around a fear, wrapped around love. That order, always in that order, always the love at the center, even when you have to dig through three layers of something else to find it. Rule number three: the family meeting is a sacred institution. Do not be fooled by the chaos. There is an order. The order may not be written anywhere. The order may not make logical sense to someone raised in a country where meetings have agendas and follow up emails. But the order exists. And when someone violates the order on your behalf, without asking, you will know it immediately. In your chest, specifically. My name is Temi Adebayo Clark. And this is the story of the day my younger sister got married and decided, somewhere in between the wedding reception and the drive home, that she would stop calling me sister. Let me be precise about when it started, because precision matters here. It was not at the wedding. At the wedding, everything was still correct. Shade, my sister, 2 years my junior, radiant in yards of ivory fabric with beadwork that took 3 women 6 weeks to complete, still called me sister at the wedding. She called me sister when I helped her into her dress. She called me sister when she pulled me aside before the ceremony to say her hands were shaking. She called me sister when we danced together during the money spray. And I, in my bridesmaid dress and my moderate heels, briefly outdanced everyone on the floor in a way that still lives in my heart as a personal best. At the wedding, we were sisters, full title, full warmth. It was the morning after. Shade came downstairs at Mama's house, still glowing, still wearing the newlywed energy like a second outfit, and said, Temi, have you eaten? Just like that. Temi, no sister before it. Like someone had simply removed a piece of punctuation from a sentence and was waiting to see if I noticed. I noticed. I said, not yet, and kept folding the wrapper I was holding. And I filed it. I am a woman who files things. I work in financial analysis in Houston, Texas. Filing is my spiritual gift. But I noted something shifted last night. Shadi crossed a threshold and she's standing on the other side of it. And she has rearranged how she sees the room from there. I gave her the benefit of doubt. For 2 whole weeks, genuinely, I'm not a woman who invents problems. I have enough real ones already. I do not need to manufacture extra. But then the family meeting happened and the benefit of doubt closed its office. 1 month after the wedding, Mama's house. The first kind of meeting that gets called every few years about the family properties issue that has been circling since before I was born and will probably continue circling after everyone in that room is gone. It is less a meeting and more a ritual. We gather, we discuss, we leave having decided nothing except that we love each other and this land matter is complicated. Same result every time. Nobody cancels it because the gathering is always actually the point. I drove my car, my Honda, paid for by me, registered in my name, insured in my name, filled with petrol from money I earned. My sister Shadi arrived in her husband's car, Femi. Brand new, big, the kind of car that announces itself before you can see it clearly. We sat in Mama's parlor. My uncle spoke. My cousin Wale spoke. My brother Kunle spoke. I was gathering myself, mentally preparing my contribution, which I had actually thought through because, unlike some people, I take family meetings seriously. When Mama raised her hand with gentle authority of a woman who has been running rooms her entire life and said, "Let Shade speak first. She's a married woman now." I looked at Mama. Mama did not look back. She was already turning towards Shade with an expression of proud expectation. The room waited for Shade. Shade, to her credit, glanced at me quickly with an expression that I can only describe as, "I know, I'm sorry, I didn't ask for this." She knows me well enough to know what just moved across my face. She has known me my whole life. She spoke briefly, said what she had to say about the land, and then looked at her phone. I said nothing. I waited until the meeting found a natural pause. And then I stood up, collected my bag, and walked to my car. Mama followed me to the door. And here is where I need you to put yourself in my shoes for a moment. Not to feel sorry for me, just to feel the specificity of what it is to be the elder one. The one who has been handling things since before she was old enough to fully understand what handling things meant. The one who drove herself here in her own car, who prepared for this meeting, who has been showing up. And to have your own mother call after you with, "Tell me, you are not the only one with a car anymore. Swallow your pride and ask your sister how she got a man." I started the car. I drove away. And that was the last time I walked into that house as a woman seeking a seat at a table that was mine. Here is the complicated truth about living in America as a Nigerian woman that nobody puts on the brochure. America does not take things from you. It gives you a mirror, and in that mirror, you see yourself, sometimes for the first time clearly, and you have to decide what to do with what you see. What I saw over time, over the years I spent in Houston building a career and a life from scratch, was this. I had been carrying things that were not mine to carry, expectations I never agreed to, a timeline someone else drew for my life, definition of success that had nothing to do with what actually made me feel like myself. I am not saying this to be dramatic. I say it because you cannot understand why I reacted the way I did. At the meeting, at the birthday party, at every pressure in this story, without understanding that I arrived at these moments as a woman who had already done the work of knowing herself. Not perfectly, not finished, but honestly. My friends in Nigeria sometimes say, "America has changed you." And they mean it as a gentle warning, the way you'd warn someone that they've been standing in the sun too long. I hear it differently. I hear it as, "You are no longer entirely predictable. You have developed opinions about your own life. This is mildly inconvenient for the people who had plans for you." What they didn't expect was that my opinion would include a man named Colade Clark. He walked into my life at a friend's birthday dinner in Houston on a Thursday night when I had almost cancelled because I was tired and had a report due the next morning. And really, the only reason I went was because Chidima had already paid for my seat. Thank God for Chidima. Thank God for the seat. Kolade is 32, Lagos born, raised between Nigeria and the UK, settled in Houston for the past 5 years. He works in engineering. He's quiet in the way that people who think carefully before speaking are quiet, not shy. He laughs easily. He takes notes when people are talking to him, not on paper, but in his eyes. You can see him storing what you say. He asked for my number at the end of dinner. I gave it to him. He texted the next morning at 9 a.m. Not midnight, not 3 days later, 9 a.m. Like a man who was not playing any kind of game and wanted that to be clear from the beginning. We dated for 18 months. Got married in a ceremony that was beautiful and medium-sized and exactly what we both wanted, which was a miracle of communication that I do not take for granted. We agreed, together, over many conversations, not to rush into children. I am 27, he is 29. We want to enjoy what we built. We want Saturday mornings and late dinners and the specific luxury of making decisions for two before we are responsible for more. We don't owe anyone a justification for this. We know this. We say it to ourselves occasionally, like a reminder, because the outside world will try to make you forget. But let me not run ahead of myself. Everything I just mentioned happened after Sade's wedding. After the meeting where my mom told me to allow Sade speak first. Apparently, even Destiny was expected to respect seniority. Little did they know my own marriage was quietly positioning itself. But we will get there. Back to the matter at hand. About 5 months after Sade's wedding, my friend Chidima, the same one who had paid for my dinner seat, keeper of important information, called me on Wednesday afternoon with the opening line, I need to tell you something, and I want you to know I sat on this for 3 weeks before calling. 3 weeks. Chidima sat on something for 3 weeks. This meant it was significant. She had been at a Nigerian gathering in Houston, the kind that happens every other weekend somewhere in this city. Somebody's birthday, somebody's child's naming ceremony, someone's promotion party. She had ended up in a conversation with a woman who knew Shade through Lagos social circuit. And this woman, perhaps not realizing the geography of Chidima's loyalties, had casually mentioned that Shade had been talking about me. Not in general. Specifically, at a Lagos gathering months ago, Shade had told a circle of mutual friends and extended family that I had become too independent. That living in America had made me think I was better than the family. That I had a good job and forgot where I came from. That she felt sorry for Mama, who was doing everything alone while I lived my life abroad. Chidima paused, then added, she also said, and this one I almost didn't tell you, that Kolade probably can't handle you, and that's why you haven't had children yet. I sat in my car in the parking lot of my office building for 15 minutes after that call. I want to be honest about what I felt. Not exactly anger, though yes, some of that. What I felt more was the particular exhaustion of discovering that someone who shares your blood has been crafting a version of you for other people's consumption. A version where your achievements are character flaws, where your choices are evidence of damage, where your husband is a victim and your life is a cautionary tale. Shade had stood in rooms and built a story about me while I had been this entire time simply living my life. My listeners, I know I've been going back and forth with this narration, but that's the only way I know how to tell this story, especially when it comes to my complicated family. A year into my marriage, Kolade and I flew to Lagos for Sade's third child's birthday. Third child, Sade is 25 years old, with 3 children, and the energy of someone who has decided that this specific metric is the one by which life should be measured. The party was Lagos in full expression. Too much food, beautiful chaos, a bouncy castle that the adults used more than the children, a DJ who understood the assignment and did not play a single slow song for 4 straight hours. I love Lagos parties. I want that on record. I am not a woman who stands at the edge of a Nigerian celebration looking pained. I was on that dance floor. I was present. At some point, Shade handed her infant, baby number 3, soft and new and smelling of powder, to Kolade. Now, Kolade's relationship with babies is something I should explain because it matters to what comes next. He loves children, genuinely, deeply loves them. But he holds them with the tension of a man carrying something he cannot afford to drop. Both arms engaged, jaw slightly set, eyes very focused. He looks, when holding an infant, like a man diffusing something small and precious. He always says they are too soft. He doesn't trust his own hands around something that fragile. He took Shade's baby with both hands and full concentration, and then, after approximately 4 seconds, passed her to me with the swift relief of a successful handoff. I held the baby. Beautiful child. I smiled at her. She grabbed my finger. And then Shadi, to the cluster of women around her, in our language, this one, her husband is running away from my baby. No wonder babies are running away from their house. The women laughed. Some of them, not all. I noticed the ones who didn't, and I thanked them. My mother was standing close enough to hear. She laughed too. Kolade did not understand the words, but Kolade reads my face the way a pilot reads instruments. Quietly, constantly, and with the willingness to respond to whatever the data says. He saw my face. He straightened. He waited. I looked at the baby in my arms. This innocent, perfect child who had absolutely nothing to do with her mother's mouth. I kissed her forehead slowly. Deliberately, I walked to Shade and placed the baby back in her arms. Carefully, gently, the way you handle things that matter, even when their owner doesn't. I turned to my husband. Let's go. He stayed immediately. No questions, no negotiation. He simply stood, put his hand at the small of my back, and we walked out of that party together. In the car, he drove in silence for a while. Then he said, "What did she say?" I translated. He was quiet for another few seconds. Then, okay, just that. Just okay. The way a man says it when he has processed something and decided exactly where he stands. That one word held more support than a speech would have. We were back in Houston, back in our apartment, back in the life we built. I was making tea on a Tuesday evening when Kolade came home from work and sat down at the kitchen table with the expression of a man who has a delivery to make. Your mother called me today, he said. I put the kettle down. On my work phone, he said it without drama. The way he says most things, as data, as information, presented cleanly. She wanted to talk about you. She said she's noticed you've been distant from the family and she's worried. She said she knows I'm a good husband and that a good husband can help his wife find her way back when she's going the wrong direction. I looked at him. She also said the birthday party comments from Shade was a joke, that you blew it out of proportion, and that you should call Shade and fix things because Shade is sensitive and she can feel the tension. Shade is sensitive. Shade, who made a comment about my womb at a children's birthday party in front of a group of women, is sensitive and can feel the tension? Noted. What did you say? I asked. I told her I trust your judgment completely, he said, that you're not a woman who overreacts to things, and that if she wanted to fix something with you, she should call you directly. He picked up his keys to put them away and added, she ended the call by praying for our home. I stood there for a moment. Then I sat down at the kitchen table across from him and laughed. Not a sad laugh, not a bitter one, just the laugh of a woman who recognizes deeply the specific texture of her mother's love and its complicated delivery system. Mama did not call Kolade to undermine me. She called Kolade because she genuinely believes that a husband is the correct lever to pull when a daughter needs course correction. This is the generation. This is the manual she was given. It is loving. It is maddening. It is my mother. Kolade made the tea. He put it in front of me. He sat back down. You okay? He said. Getting there, I said. Good. He opened his laptop. Because I ordered suya and it arrives in 20 minutes, I need you emotionally available for that. This man, honestly. Here is where the story gets layered in the way of real life. Because while all of this was happening to me, something else entirely was happening inside Shade's beautiful, well-photographed Range Rover life. Chidima called again. This is her role now. Keeper of true information, for better or worse. About 4 months after the Owambe, she had been at a gathering. She had spoken to someone in Femi's family circle. She had debated calling me for 2 weeks. Femi, Shade's husband, father of her children, the man whose car had been driven into family meetings like a statement, had a situation in Abuja. Not a rumor that existed in only gossip, a known thing, consistent, the kind of thing that people around him had quietly been aware of for over a year, while Shade in Lagos managed three children under three and posted family photos on Sunday mornings. I sat with this information very carefully. I am not going to tell you I felt nothing. That would be dishonest. What I felt was complicated. Grief for my sister, who was building her identity around a marriage that had a fracture she couldn't see. And something else, quieter, harder to name, the recognition that the woman who had questioned the health of my home, who had joked about babies running from my house, who had positioned herself as the standard, was standing on ground that was not solid, not as solid as she believed. She didn't know, or she was performing not knowing. Either way, she was in the middle of something that had nothing to do with my womb, or my timeline, or whether my husband was afraid of carrying babies. I told no one, not Kolade, not Chidima, beyond the conversation itself, not my mother. I filed it as context, not as ammunition, but as a reason to be more patient than I might otherwise be, as a reminder that the people who perform the loudest confidence about their lives are often the ones most in need of it. Shade called me on a Sunday afternoon, 5 months later. She was pregnant again, baby number 4. She and Femi had decided, before the baby came, to take a trip, a proper vacation, rest, sunshine, beach. They needed someone they trusted completely to watch their 3 children, 3-year-old, almost 2, and 9 months, for 5 days. Mama was tired, she had said to herself. With the finality of a retired professional, my brother, Kunle's wife, had just had their own baby. Femi's family had scheduling conflicts. The nanny had a family emergency. So Shade called me. She called in her softest voice. The one she has used since childhood when she needs something. Slightly high, slightly careful, like she's holding a cup and doesn't want to spill it. She said she missed me, that things had been weird between us and she wanted it to be normal. That nobody could love her children like their auntie could. That I was the only person she truly trusted with them. She did not say, I'm sorry for what I said at the birthday. She did not say, I'm sorry for what I said at the Owambe. She did not say, I'm sorry for what I told people in Lagos about your marriage. She said, I trust you, which in Nigerian family language is the beginning of an apology that isn't ready to be an apology yet. It's the down payment, the first installment. I recognized it. I let her finish. Then I said, gently, warmly, the way a woman speaks when she has found the right temperature for a difficult sentence. Shade, I love you. I would genuinely love to help. But Kalade and I are in a season right now where we're being very intentional about our peace. We're avoiding anything that disrupts the quiet we've built. And honestly, you of all people should understand this. You're about to have a 4th child. You know what rest does for a couple. You deserve yours. We deserve ours. Silence. Then, Temi, are you serious right now? Completely, I said. But take pictures of wherever you end up. I want to see. She hung up. If you have never experienced being tried in the courts of Nigerian family opinion, let me explain how the proceedings work. There is no advance notice. There is no scheduled hearing. One moment you're in your kitchen making your lunch, and then your phone becomes a courtroom, and everyone has already reached a verdict before you've finished chewing. Mama called. She said I was being petty, that it was just a joke, that I had been holding this for too long, and it was poisoning me. My brother Kunle called, asking with genuine confusion whether I was jealous of Shade. I asked him what specifically about Shade's life he thought I was jealous of. He did not have a clean answer. He said he was just asking. I said that was fine. Femi's aunt, a woman whose name I have associated with a face exactly twice in my life, sent a WhatsApp message telling me I was wicked. Femi's aunt, the man who had a situation in Abuja, sent his aunt to call me wicked. I showed Kolade the message. He read it. He handed my phone back. He said, Do you want me to make eggs? Yes, I wanted eggs. Scrambled, please, with pepper. But here's the part that mattered most among all of it. Shade never called to address the birthday party comment. Not when it happened. Not in the weeks after. Not before she needed the favor. Not after I said no. She routed her feelings through Mama, through Kunle, through Femi's aunt, who had nothing to do with this conversation. She sent everyone else with her message while she kept her hands clean. The one person at the origin of all this never looked directly at it until she had to. 3 weeks later, Shadi called again. No soft voice this time, no running start. She said, "Can I just talk to you? Just, can we actually talk?" I said yes. What followed was a conversation I did not expect in its honesty. Not because I doubted Shadi was capable of it, but because the version of herself she had been presenting for the last year and a half had not left much room for this kind of vulnerability. She asked about how hard it had been. 3 children under 3. A husband who was, and she paused here, search for the right word, not fully present. How the confidence she had been wearing since the wedding was more performance than feeling. How she had made the birthday party comment because she and Kolade had walked in looking easy and settled and unbothered. And something in her had reached for a joke that she should have kept in her mouth. She said, "I said it because you had what I was pretending to have. And I don't know why that made me want to take something from you, but it did, and it was wrong." I held the phone and looked out my kitchen window at the Houston afternoon. This is the thing about complicated families with good intentions and bad delivery. Sometimes, if you wait long enough, the delivery catches up with the intention. Not always, not perfectly, but in the moment. In one honest phone call on a Tuesday, in a sister who got tired of performing, I said, "Thank you for saying that." She said, "I'm sorry, Timmy." I said, "I know." We talked for another hour after that about real things, about her marriage and what she was figuring out, about the life Kolade and I were building, about Mama and her specific brand of love and its complicated wrapping, about being Nigerian women in our late 20s, trying to figure out what expectations to carry and which ones to set down without dropping the people attached to them. It wasn't everything resolved. It was something real beginning. My mother still ends every Sunday call with a prayer that covers everything from my health to the roads I drive on to what she calls the fruit of the womb in God's time. I listen. I say amen. The love in that prayer is not in question, even when the delivery makes me smile into my mug. Shade and I are finding our way back to each other. Slowly, honestly, in the way of people who have stopped performing for each other and started actually talking. She calls now, not to need something, just to talk. The calls are shorter than the old ones, but they are truer. And I have learned that truth is better currency than volume. Kolade and I are still in our quiet, still protecting it, still waking up on Saturday mornings, 2 cups of coffee, and the particular joy of a life that belongs entirely to us. I am not angry. I am not bitter. I have no backpack of grudge. What I have is clarity about who I am, what I will carry, what I will not, and where the line is between the two. Some people called what I did to Shade petty. Some people called it wicked. Some people called it jealousy dressed up as principles. They were wrong on all 3 counts, and they will figure that out in their own time.